Hey everybody, welcome to another tutorial. This is Jason Buff. Hope you guys are doing good today. So I had some people in our group ask me how to make brushes, or how do I make the backgrounds here. And sometimes I'll use a background that is just a texture. If you look here, you can see what the original looked like. I actually have a canvas background that I made here on the back in the back here, but I pretty much got rid of that whole thing. And there's a bunch of stuff going on back here. There's a sky overlay. There's a little bit of lens, not lens flare, but well, just a little bit of light coming in here that didn't exist here. Some textures and things. But another thing that I add to these images, just to give them a little bit of atmosphere, is fog. And so I'm going to show you guys what I just created, which was this brush. And I'm going to show you how this works and how to make one yourself. It's really, really easy. So all I'm going to do is just start painting in, and I have a flow of 5. So I'm just going to pretend like there's just like fog coming into the background here. So I'm going to draw a little bit here, a little bit here. And actually I can just kind of repeat this up here if I want to, and just make a background texture if I want, and it's totally it just looks totally not like real smoke, but it's a really nice texture, and it doesn't look kind of clumsy and man-made. It looks like something you could actually use. So I could even do that and put soft light and then bring it down, and kind of, you'd have to play with it a little bit more, but I really love having textures like this. So I thought I would show you guys how to do it what I would consider the right way. So the first thing that I'm going to do is open up my web browser to Pixabay. You can literally take any image that you have. You can walk around with your iPhone. You can take it whenever you're doing a photo shoot, and you find interesting textures anywhere. You can literally make a background out of. You can make a brush out of anything, and it's really great to kind of have that. I really like to make everything from images I've taken, like if I can make a background from a sky that I took a picture of or whatever. I'm not a huge fan of using stock images to compose. I mean, that if that's your thing, that's great. If you're compositing off somebody else's image. I've always found it just a little bit weird. I mean, if you're trying to compete in terms of like an image and the whole background was an image somebody else took, it just seems kind of like, some of these rap albums where, it's like most of the song is the background song, and you just have like a person there. So what I'll do here, I actually used this image already. So I found this image. I just did a search for fog. And what I liked about this image was that it had this area right here where the fog was overlapping a black background, and it was kind of separated from the rest of the background. So so the main thing about being able to create a brush is that you need to be able to kind of separate the luminance values, which means the bright and the dark. So this is a light fog over a darker background, so it's very easy to select it. So I copied this and I brought it into Photoshop over here, and I just selected this area. So I tried to find an area where it kind of broke up a little bit, and then I just copied this. I'll just go ahead and do it again. I copied it, and I'm going to create a new document, file, new. And I typically don't want to make a brush that's any larger than about 2000 by 2000, so I'll just start out at 2000. So I'll just have that as a rough size. Actually, I'm going to start out as, I'm going to go ahead and put it at 1500. Because brushes use a lot of RAM, especially if you're using them over and over and over again. So I'll do create. And actually, you know what? I'm going to make this image size. I'm going to change this resolution to 300. So I guess it's the same thing, right? I get confused with this. 1500, 1500, okay. Yeah, that's basically the same thing. Okay, so I'm just going to hit Control V and paste this, what I selected, and hit Control T, or I believe it's Command T on a Mac. I'm on a PC right now. So what I want to do is I want to basically try to create a black on white brush. So this is white, whiter on a darker. I want to make sure it's backwards from that. Now what I can do first of all is look over in my channels and see if there's a better channel to work with. So it looks like there's more of a separation with the red here. So I can just use this if I want to. I can go to, I can make another layer here, and I can just go to Edit, Apply Image. Where's the image? Apply Image. And just choose the red. So you'll see it's just the red. So I think that's actually better. I'm just going to get rid of this image. So this is the red channel, which means, so the background had a little bit of blue in it, I think. So that's why there's more of a separation. Whenever I'm working with the highlights on somebody's face, I'll use the blue channel to really kind of bring out that highlight. Because when you have blue in the background, that means that there's really not much red here, which means it's going to be almost black here in the red channel. But if you have the blue channel, it's going to be more gray in this part. So you can see, well, I just got rid of the colored image, so let me bring that back. In the blue channel, it's going to be more gray in the background because there's more blue. And that means the luminance value, the black and white value, is going to be a little bit more towards the gray instead of black because there's blue here. And then the red channel is going to be more black because there's virtually no red here. So that's just, I just wanted to explain that very quickly. Okay, now there's two different ways to have a brush, really. One is to have a brush that overlays the entire image. And then there's other brushes that are actually going to work like brushes that we're going to paint in. So you need to have a border that goes around the entire image that doesn't show any lines or anything. So we need to make sure that when we create this brush, the area all the way around it has this fog area, or else we're going to notice like a little line or something on the brush. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to try to get rid of everything that's not the foggy looking area. So I'm going to get rid of, I have my fog brush there. Let me just paint this out. Pretend like I didn't have this before. So I'm just going to paint out this part on the bottom, raise up my flow, paint out this part here. And I'm going to hit invert. So that, oops, I don't want to, what did I do here? I have this on a white background. Ah, so, okay, so, okay, let me redo that real quick. This is a good teachable moment. Okay, this has got, this is just the image with no background here, and this has got the white on it. So that was a mistake that I made. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to invert this before I do the mask. So we have this color here. I can go to channels, and probably black is still going to be the best one to go with. Yeah, black is still, black or green really. Actually, if I'm looking here, well, no, I'll stay with the black, with the red. Okay. So now I can do apply image again. Edit. Well, I don't think apply image is going to let me do that. Okay. Forget it. I'm just going to do desaturate. Or I'll just do a black and white layer over this. Why am I making this more difficult than it needs to be, really? I can do the black and white, and I can kind of play with that to try and get the edges a little wider. Because I'm going to want the edges to get, to be very, like, pretty much white. Okay. So I'm going to combine these together. And I'm just going to paint out this area here. The main thing that I want to make sure that I have is all this really nice texture. I'm going to lower my flow over here and just make it so this kind of fades out. I just want to get rid of any lines on this image. So what I can also do is hit Control L and bring my whites up so that they're kind of going out to, we're going to white here on the edge. So moving the whites over a little bit, okay? And I'm just going to keep painting over this part. Okay, so this is the main area that we have that has that kind of nice look to it. So I'm going to make a copy of this and Control T it, move this around. And on this one I'm going to put multiply so that we can really kind of see where we can paint this out. And you can do multiply to the other one too if you want. So I'm going to just kind of paint this a little bit to make sure we have all this. And you can spend a bunch of time working on this kind of thing if you want to. I want to make sure everything is going all the way to the side, so I'm going to bring up the brightness. And you can see if I take down this guy, you can see some of these artifacts are still here on the side, and they're going to make this a little bit messy. So I'm actually going to combine these two guys, and I'm just going to paint around so that we don't have anything creating a border. It's not really going to matter that much, I don't think. And then I'll turn off the brightness. Okay. Bring the brightness back to where like a normal area, and I'm going to up the contrast just a little bit. You can help Photoshop out a little bit by adding more contrast, and you'll just get better results. Okay, so this is what we have. This is our brush so far. I don't want it to be totally like both sides are the same, so I'm just going to hit T again and kind of drag it around a little bit just to make sure that it's not. It looks a little more randomized. So I guess that's okay. Make it a little bigger. There we go. Okay. And you can liquefy that or do whatever you want to with it. And I'm going to redraw my border here. So there we go. And hit Image, Crop. And now we're going to go to Edit, Define Brush Preset. And I'm going to call this Fog 2. And now you can see that brush comes right up. So now, let's see, I'm going to put my color to black, my foreground color, and look at that. We have a pretty good brush. Okay, so let's go back to my image. And I'm going to create a new layer. Well, get rid of that one, create a new layer. And my brush will now appear here. So the brush that I had is now in my brushes. And you can save that if you want to. You can get rid of all your brushes or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this in here. And you're going to see it actually looks terrible. So if I do like one at a time, just one click at a time, it looks decent, but we're still not getting that look that we wanted. So I'm just going to play a little bit with the dynamics of this brush. I'm going to go up here to the brush settings, and I just want to put the, make it so it's scattered, it moves around and does all the, never does the same print like this twice. So it's going to start to look more, more real. So we'll do size jitter, and you can see here, you know, everything is basically just like putting it in a row, like a pencil stroke. So I'm going to change the size jitter just to kind of make each one of the, every time I paint on it, I can just hold it and click it, and it's going to change the size. The minimum diameter, I'm going to change that to the middle here. Angle jitter, I can change that. You can see how it's starting to change. Roundness, I want maybe just a little bit. Scattering, so this is going to show like a little, I don't want to do too much scattering, but just a little bit. Count is how many it's going to add in a row. Count jitter, I'm not going to use that. Okay, so now let's see what we got. You see that now every time you're drawing it on here, it's changing the dynamics of the brush, so it actually looks fairly natural. Now, how do I make this look more natural on here? I want to go to my flow and put it at 1. So I'm going to start drawing that in. And you can see how natural that looks here on the side. Just looks like, you know, instead of getting a fog machine. I mean, it doesn't look quite as real as the fog machine, but, you know, you can use this for all kinds of things. You know, putting things in the background of your images, especially if you have somebody walking in the afternoon, or you know, with you know, you want to put like fog in the background or whatever, and it's like you can hear the model starting to cough because she's like, no, it's too much smoke. Or you can even just like, let's say that you have a black background. I'll just do a solid color. So black. Let's say you just want to have a background for overlaying onto your things. You can just go in and paint in some texture. You know, people are always asking me where I get my backgrounds from. Well, you can make a background just like this, you know, and it's going to be all yours. All yours. So I'm just going to do this. I'm actually going to use this. So I'll take this background that I'm making, and I can make it look even more real if I come in and I'm just filling in all the darker parts. Over here, over here. Okay, that's good. Now I can, if I want to have the inner part here lighter, I can go and put a layer mask and paint on the layer mask with the same brush. So I can just go out here on the edge and start filling in this outer part so that we have more of like an oliphant kind of thing. And this is a great way to create something that looks super realistic. So I can take this and I'm just going to hit Control E and put these two together. Now this is just an image, and I can hit overlay. And now I'm using this as a background. You know, just adding some interest here to the background, and I could, you know, obviously create a mask on her so it's not affecting her. I can actually, I mean, when you create a mask with the brushes like this, it's like you don't have to be super accurate because you're not going to see any lines. You're not going to see, and you can even make your brush smaller, get in here and just do, you know, go around like this, and it's going to look more realistic. So look, we've added a little, and you know, just come around here. So, or I can put this inverted. Whatever. Anyway, hope you guys found that helpful, and I'll see you for the next workshop. Don't forget to join our group, Portrait Masterclass with Jason Buff, or follow me on Instagram at jabu_studio. All right, thanks guys. See you in the next class.